I'm Tash.
And I'm Sean. After the sale of our business and the passing of our 13-year-old beloved dog, we decided that it was time to pack up our lives, move out of our home, and buy a one-way ticket to experience the world.
Follow along as we share all of our adventures.
Well, it has been 6 months since we sold everything and moved to Europe. So we thought it was time to do more of like a podcast style with maybe some B-roll over the top of our favorite things. But we just wanted to get on here and do a bit of an update, even to our future selves, just to remember everything that's happened over the last 6 months.
Reflect on stories and just all the experiences we've kind of had properly that we feel like maybe we haven't put into the videos properly. I think when we've watched some of the videos back, we're just like, oh, could have said that.
Yeah, so this YouTube channel has started out as just something that we thought we were going to post for friends and family. And then we've sort of merged it into two styles of videos. We have like episodes, which this is an episode, and it's more of just our lives and showing more personal side of us or the personal things that we're doing. And then the other side of the videos are like our touristy travel vlog videos. And they're like the ones that we did in Gdańsk. What's been our best one?
Gdańsk was our best one.
Or Slovenia.
But
Slovenia was incredible.
Anywhere that we've proper touristed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's the Prague we went to be tourists. Gdańsk we went over to be tourists. Slovenia we did all the tourist attractions. So anywhere that we've kind of done all the tourist routes, I think that's where the videos have come out to be solely on that country.
Yeah. So we have these episodes. This is the 10th episode, but I don't even know how many videos we've done. Let's say we've done 18 videos, I'm guessing. I don't know. And 8 of them are like our tourist travels, and then 10 of them are our vlogs. And since we left, we've got 1,100 new subscribers, over 250,000 views, which is insane.
Yeah.
And then I think our best performing video was the UTMB follow-up video. And that was, I think, like as we're recording this, that's got 80,000 views, I think.
Yeah, awesome.
And our best...
I feel like it's also a video that has tended to detract people from UTMB.
We did I did UTMB, and then we got a bunch of subscribers for running. And then since we've just been traveling the world and we haven't posted about any running. So I think people subscribed. No,
I was meaning that video has stopped people from doing UTMB.
Oh, yeah.
We've had a few people write to us saying, no thanks.
Yeah,
which is something smaller.
Which is not what we wanted, was it?
No.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that that video deterred people or made them think that I had a bad experience, because it wasn't. It was like maybe we recorded that video a little bit too soon to the event. And it was like,
because when you reflect on it now, it was amazing. Yeah. We were just waiting for someone to tell us that they've made it to
we
UTMB
wanted to go back.
We wanted to go back.
All right. So over the last 6 months, if you don't know exactly what's happened, we sold everything in Australia. We moved over to Europe. We didn't have really much of a plan whatsoever. The first place that we went...
Did have a little bit of a plan, but we'll get to that soon.
Yeah, we actually had a really good plan.
We had a great plan.
And it was completely illegal. So...
I had to pivot.
Yeah,
so... had to pivot.
When we got to France, we were there for Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, my race. And we met this girl. Maybe we can put in some B-roll of her face, because she literally changed our lives.
I didn't really record her much, though.
We've got her doing like a cheers.
Just a cheers, yeah. We'll give a quick cheers to Shell.
Yeah, so Shelley we met through a friend, Sarah Greeley, and we're having dinner with him. And she asked us, she's a nomad as well. She just travels the world, works online. And she said to us, how are you planning on getting by the Schengen rule? And we were like, never heard of Schengen. What do you mean? And she's like, you only get 90 days in Schengen. We're like, yeah, we know that. Tash is a Polish citizen. I've got a UK working visa. What we're going to do, we're just going to spend 90 days in France. Then we're going to go to Italy, spend 90 days. Then we're going to go to wherever next, spend 90 days.
Just country hop through Europe.
And she was like shaking her head and laughing. And she's like, no, you get 90 days for the entire of Schengen, which is virtually all of Europe minus a few countries.
Yeah.
And your time is accumulated. You get 90 days in every 180, not in each country.
Yeah.
And we were like, we panicked because we had planned to live in Italy for a few months. We had already been in France for like, a week and a bit by then. So we actually finished that dinner, went straight home, got online, and was like, what do we do now? Do we have to go home?
Yeah, we were like, what's going on? And then the plan was just like, we'll go to the UK for a little bit and then come back to Poland and UK until we went to the UK. And the cost was a lot more than Europe itself.
So our original plan was thrown out the window virtually 4 weeks into our trip.
Yeah, bless.
Which
First
is
2 weeks.
crazy to think back.
Oh.
We were very naive.
No one in Australia knows about it, though. We were very surprised that anyone we spoke to about it in Australia, they were just like, what are you talking about? But it's dubbed the United States of Europe now here. That's what they're calling it. But, yeah, we had no idea that this Schengen thing existed.
Super naive on our end.
Yeah.
We just had no idea.
Yeah. But I guess in a way, not many Australians are planning to move over here. When you're an Australian and you're traveling over to Europe, you don't have to worry about it because you're not spending 90 days in Europe. You're on a holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, when we were in France for our first thing, that's when our entire trip got turned on its head. But yeah, Chamonix was incredible. And
I could have lived there. I could have easily lived there until it hit winter and it got snowy. But the summer in Chamonix is incredible.
So we didn't actually, when we booked Chamonix, we didn't have any plans on moving to Europe.
That's true.
We booked it and we were thinking we were going to just like live at large because you only ever get one chance to do this race. Well, most people only ever get one chance to do UTMB. We're just going to like live it up.
So that was in January last year when you got the notification.
When we found out.
Yeah.
So we booked this beautiful place in Chamonix. We spent an absurd amount of money. It was just under $10,000 to stay there for 3 weeks, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we had no idea we were moving here. And if we were to known that we were moving here, there's no way we would have spent that kind of money.
Would have changed it so quickly. But when we decided to move here, which was May, when the decision had to be made on Sasha, our dog, it was about May. So what's that? It was about 2.5 months away from leaving. And that decision was made. And when we went online to look at potentially changing that, there was hardly any accommodation left. If there was any accommodation left, Airbnb was saying that you had to switch it, like live here for a bit, live there for a bit over that time. And it was, for us, it was just more for the convenience and comfort of the race itself to just be in one spot.
So it was amazing. We got to like live large for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. Yeah, that was amazing. And then since then, everywhere we've stayed has just been normal prices. We haven't lived it up like that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how we even have the video where we say, we've really set a high standard, really high, set the bar high here for this apartment.
Yeah.
And then we traveled over to Venice next. And the video we have on Venice and the accommodation in Venice was just polar opposites in style and quality for apartments. It's hilarious.
Yeah, we stayed in the cheapest possible place we could find in Venice, and it was...
And that still was a bit expensive. Venice was expensive.
It was ridiculous. It was so bad. But We sort of reflecting on it now, we realized, well, I don't know, we haven't really spoken about it, but I've been reflecting on it. And UTMB, that race, actually changed our entire lives. Because if we didn't get into that race, I don't know if we ever would have moved to Europe.
You're right.
Like it changed our lives. And the things that we got to do there while we were there, like we went and slept on a glacier.
We went down to Annecy, which
went
is
down to
dubbed like the
Annecy.
Venice of the Alps,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful town.
Just seeing some of those trails and being in Chamonix, getting to cross UTMB finish line for me, it probably changed our YouTube channel. It actually had a massive impact on our lives.
Yeah.
Huge.
Massive.
Huge. So that was crazy. That was France. That's where we started our trip. And then, like Tash just mentioned, after that we went to Venice. That was a real stopover. Like we weren't there for very long. I think we had a few days there, and that was enough.
That was a night. It was just a night, just for comfort, because
We
we were
went
going
back
to
there
Slovenia.
again though.
No, we didn't. Like, not for a night.
Oh, not for a night. No, we just ran through there, didn't we?
Yeah, we just ran through it. No, we just did a night just for pure comfort of travel, because we're heading to Slovenia.
Yeah, so we went there for 2 days.
We stayed a night, We
Yeah.
arrived and
And
then
that was
walked
enough.
around. Yeah, and then the next day at 9 a.m. we had our bus to Slovenia. So
And I would never go back.
I wouldn't go back to Venice.
No, 48 hours in Venice is enough.
Yeah, a night stay is enough. That's all you need to, like, the bridges all start looking the same. The place, like, we walked through the Jewish quarters, which was quite beautiful there. I thought that was quite lovely. And we kind of walked into the back end of some tour that was giving some information of that place, which was really cool. Obviously, there's a piazza and the basilica there that's really famous. We never actually stepped foot towards that. I'm sure there's a beautiful history there to it, but I found Venice it was very heavily touristy. I heard more the English language, than I heard the Italian language. And it was a little bit dirty. It was a bit dirty.
It's just not our place.
Yeah.
It's just not our place.
But I remember it was the worst night's sleep ever, because there was no aircon, and it's the middle of summer down in Italy, so it was humid. It was so humid. It was like 33 degrees. It was really, really hot, and this apartment just was so stuffy.
The
but it was
aircon was broke.
The aircon had broken down. There was a fan in there that just blew the hot air, which was like, we had it on all night. It had to be on. But as soon as you cranked any window open, like within a second, there was a mosquito buzzing by your ear.
Yeah.
And I tend to attract the mosquitoes the most. Like, they just attack me. So it was a really uncomfortable
Where do we go from there?
night.
From Venice?
We got onto the bus to Slovenia.
Okay, so Slovenia is, I would say, still in the top 3 places I've ever been in. It could be the best place I've ever been in my life. Mm-hmm. Would you, like, it's definitely top 3.
I would tell anyone and everyone, if you're planning to come to Europe, that Slovenia needs to be on your...
Yeah, Ljubljana is the main city, which is so beautiful, super clean, heaps of art there. The people are lovely. Like, the experience we had the moment we got there was
really
the
good looking.
best. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They're really good
Everyone's
looking people.
really good looking in Slovenia. So Ljubljana, amazing. And then we got out of Ljubljana and we went and stayed in this place called Bohinjska Bela.
Yeah.
An Airbnb.
Yeah, we hired a car.
Yeah.
Because, again, we watched a YouTube video, someone else's YouTube video on Slovenia, and they said that the roads are just amazing and super easy, that cars are really easy to have there. And I thought the same thing. It was really easy to drive the car there.
Yeah, super easy. Definitely get a car. And you need a car in Slovenia. So
Yeah,
we
but
rented a
Bohinjska
place,
Bela.
Bohinjska Bela, and if you're ever going to go there, stay at Bohinjska Bela.
It was Rooms Ravnik,
Rooms Ravnik in
Rooms
Bohinjska
Ravnik.
Bela. It
a
is.
little pop-up, but...
She was lovely, this woman. She was so nice, and it's in the perfect spot. It's just outside of Lake Bled, so you don't have to deal with the hustle bustle and like the car parks and stuff like
It was
that.
such a quiet little
It was
town.
super quiet. It's like
Country
pushed back
town,
into
yeah.
this mountain, like at the base of this mountain, and it's between Lake Bled and
Lake Bohinjska.
Lake Bohinjska, which is the 2 lakes that you want to see in Slovenia, and Lake Bohinjska is the better of the 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely not walkable if you have your own car. If you have a car or you hire a car, it's a great place to be, because it's only just a 5-minute drive out of Lake Bled.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very accommodating for public transport.
No.
or walking.
You need a
No,
car.
you need a car
For
there.
Slovenia, you need a car
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and then that's when we were planning to go up to Mount Triglav.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've never
I was
told this
planning
story.
to do Mount Triglav.
Okay. So we had booked a bunch of refuges through the mountains. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some hikes and we're going to stay at each of these refuges. But the weather turned really bad and there was going to be rain all week. So this first day that we got there, we had to figure it out because when I say figure it out, we had to figure out how to actually summit Mount Triglav, which is the highest point in Slovenia. And we only had the next day to do it because that was the only good weather day.
Yeah.
So we sort of had to scramble a little bit. We found this place that rented out, what's it called?
Via Ferrata, like
Via Ferrata.
harnesses and stuff.
Harnesses
Yeah.
and helmets and stuff like that to climb this mountain. And we organized all that. We found a route that you could get from the base all the way up, summit Mount Triglav, and come back down in the same day.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting up at like maybe 3:30,
yeah.
4 in the morning, driving there in the dark, starting the climb in the dark. What time do we get back? I don't think we ever said it.
It wasn't too bad. From memory, we got back down around like 4 or 5 p.m.
It's at least 12 or 13 hours
Yeah.
worth of work.
Yeah.
If you do the whole thing and like
Depending
have
how
lunch
good you
and-
are with heights.
Yeah, so we ended up climbing, and Tash is a bit scared of heights, and we weren't sure how she was going to go. And I was just saying to her, "Don't worry, when you get there, you'll be absolutely fine." So we got all the way up to the highest refuge in Slovenia. Do you remember what it was called? I don't remember what it's called.
No, it was like a.
We'll put the name up here.
Dom Krivetsky or something like that.
And that's where you sort of put your Via Ferrata on and you get ready and you can look up to the peak of Triglav. You can't actually see, you can see mini Triglav, which is the one before.
The first one.
But you can see the route that you have to take.
Yeah.
And Tash was like, okay, I'm going to try. And I was like, yep, all you need to do is try. And I was 100% confident you were going to get up. And then we started. From the refuge, you have to go down this hill and then it comes back up like that. And that's where the climb starts. So we went down, we started climbing back up, and that's when you went pretty quiet.
Yeah. Well, I was always going to go quiet. I don't do well with heights. But it was kind of like a bit of rock scaling at first. And I'm like, this is okay. Like my heart rate started to go a bit up and I was a bit slow. What's more stressful is how busy it is, and like you have groups of people behind you and in front of you, and it does feel like you just want to stick to your path, and if you go off anywhere else to let people come through, you're going to fall off or something. But as soon as we came up over that, and then we came to the first quite steep Via Ferrata area, which is either hooks are drilled into the rock or you have like a wire drilled into the rock that you can clip your harness onto. And I was clipping onto that and I'm walking up, my legs started to shake, and then I had to unclip it. I looked up and there wasn't another hook or anything for ages. And I started free climbing and I'm bawling my eyes out behind Sean. And he's trying so hard to stay at my pace, which was like glacial pace. And he looked at me and I had to have a breather and stop. And poor Sean was just like, okay, like, thank you so much for trying, but I think you should go back down. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
I was just looking for the permission to just not keep going.
I was super proud of you for trying, but I didn't think you being scared of heights, I didn't think you were going to have like a physical reaction to that. So I was standing up watching Tash come up and I could see her whole body shaking, just the tears running. And I felt so bad. I felt so responsible for making you even try. And then when you got to me...
But if you hadn't said anything, I would have potentially pushed through so much more.
I think it would have, at that pace, it would have taken us 5 days to get to the top. And then Tash got up to where I was and I looked at her and she was like just so scared. And I just said like, you can't, like, not you can't do this. I would never say that. I was like, I don't want you to do this. I'm so sorry that I brought you here.
Yeah. So
And
then I decided, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to have a sit here for a second, catch my breath back. You keep going. So Sean went off. I like calmed myself down, saying hi to different people. And I took a breath and I looked straight ahead of me and I hadn't even gone above the refuge that we were. I could just see the rooftop of the refuge that we had gone to. Mind you, it came down and back up, but I didn't even scale above what we were just sitting at on the other side. And I just laughed, but then was so, in a way, disappointed in the fact that I couldn't even get up much higher. And some people were just walking down with nothing, like no shame, nothing, just walking down, no hooks, nothing, not sliding down. I was just amazed with other people. Not my cup of tea. I went back to the refuge, had about 3 coffees, 3 strudels, just waiting for Sean.
Yeah, so I continued on, and it was. I'm pretty good with heights, and I'm pretty adventurous, but there's parts on that climb that if you are scared of heights, you wouldn't do. Like, we've got some footage we'll show. It's
There was a dog up there.
Yeah, so at one point you can get to Mini Triglav, which you can take your dogs to. You couldn't take your dogs to the summit, but you can get to Mini Triglav, and people were walking there was like a border collie up there, which is insane. But these people this was like a normal walk for them. When you come from that area, Sydney and on the northern beaches, there's nothing like that. You're just never exposed to anything like that. But those people were incredible. There is like plaques of people that die on the mountain. And I think the last person that died was there maybe like 18 months before us. They fell off and died. So there's an element of risk there. But incredible. And then I was climbing up, and there was just so happened to be this guide. They were there on like a corporate trip, and he was guiding his whole team up, and I just jumped in behind him, and then ended up becoming good friends with him, and they watched the YouTube channel, and I've stayed in touch with him on Instagram and stuff. But I just followed these people up and got like the full experience of a guided tour, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And got all the way to the top. You get spanked. It's a tradition. They say you're not actually Slovenian until you've climbed Mount Triglav, and they spank you 3 times when you get to the top. So he was nice enough to spank me 3 times.
Yeah.
I became a Slovenian.
Yep.
Came back down, grabbed Tashi, and then we had a really fun walk down.
We did.
Yeah. You were in a much better mood on the way down.
I was in a great mood on the way down. Because I knew that it was just going to get easier and easier from there. I slid a few times.
Yeah,
I rock surfed. Yeah. I got a bit too confident with coming down, and the rocks were quite loose, so I had a few surfs and tumbles, but they were fun. And even when we got down to the bottom, back to our car, it was quite funny. We're just like walking past all these cars, and we can just see all these like smudges. It's like someone had picked up clay from the ground and just smudged some of the cars. And we're just thinking to ourselves, like, what is going on here? And we got to our car, opened the boot, started getting undressed and getting ready to drive. And the guy next to us was saying, oh, you're lucky, your car hasn't been smudged. And we were just like, what is that? And he just said, like, when it's really busy in summer, people just drive in here. It's a field/forest. People drive in at night, they just see what they can see, find a spot, so there's no real plan to parking in there. And as the day gets busier and more people are traveling, they just park randomly and horribly too, like blocking some of the road, blocking some, cattle driveways. So what locals do that have their sheep and cows in the local paddocks, would just throw salt around the cars that have parked like idiots, I guess, or just parked wrong. And therefore, when the sheep and the cows come through, they would go to lick the salt off, but then they'd be hitting it with their hooves and their horns and their face.
Yeah,
and then
bulls scratch the side of your car.
They just ruin the cars to kind of prove a point that you've parked in the wrong spot or the wrong way. So we were quite lucky that we parked in a really good position because his car got hit pretty bad.
The guy next to us, his car was trashed.
Yeah.
Our car didn't get touched, but that was we didn't.
We were parked quite well.
We got lucky.
Yeah, but we were there at 3:30 in the morning, so we were pretty lucky and good at getting a good spot.
But there's a word of warning. If you are going to Triglav, do you remember the route that we took?
Oh.
No, I can't remember it. But the route that we took, if you're going to park at the bottom there, be very, very careful how you park because the locals do not love it. All right, so that was Triglav, which is if you're adventurous and if you don't mind heights, definitely something you should do in Slovenia. There's heaps to talk about in Slovenia, but then some of the other stuff that we did.
Yeah, we've got a video on it as well.
Yeah, go watch the video.
Go watch the video. We'll put the link down in this as well.
These are just some of our stories that we want to remember and and things that we haven't really put into the videos.
Yeah.
But Slovenia is the absolute best. I think we documented it pretty well. So go check out that video. Where did we go after Slovenia?
Into Croatia. That was another. I think this place. I really don't know how busy Porridge is, and this video didn't get as much love as it deserved. But I think as well, in return, when we got there, we just wanted to chill. When we got to this coastal town in Croatia called Porridge, which is just about. It was a 90-minute bus, maybe even 60-minute bus from Piran, because we went down to the only coastal town in Slovenia called Piran, which only just in 1947, just after World War II, was Italian up to that point. It was an Italian town, and then when World War II kind of finished and the borders of Europe were free for the taking of all these different countries, it was given to Slovenia back then, which I don't know if it was Slovenia or if it was all different countries. But anyway... Rant.
Not a rant. Tangent.
But it's got a pretty cool history, Piran. But we started to relax a little bit by the time we got to the coastal towns. It wasn't very touristy. We just cruised.
That's something that we've found with our videos is when we go to these beautiful places like Piran and Porridge, they don't make the best videos because what you do there isn't necessarily the best thing to film and put on.
Yeah.
So we're like, there's not much that you want to show here other than just a beautiful landscape. And it's like, but then when you go to Slovenia and we're doing like all of this adventure stuff, it's like easy to film.
And mountains and...
But then when you go to these beautiful places, other than just giving you like montages of drones, like drone shots, there's not a massive amount to show.
Well,
but
Porridge had a beautiful history.
But they are some of the best places to visit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they don't make the best YouTube videos. So, like, there's all these amazing places that we've been that we're like, other than it just being incredibly beautiful, there's some really rich history there. But even we're not a history channel.
No.
So, yeah, it's funny. The ones that we want everyone to see and fall in love with, like Piran or Porridge, they don't get the love they deserve because we're not doing like crazy.
Piran was part of Slovenia's video anyway because it's still in Slovenia, so that still got the like. It was perfect because it got intertwined in the mountains and everything. But we just went to Porridge for 3-4 nights as our wind down, so I think that's why we didn't really capture much of its history or the beautiful difference in the architecture and everything like that because we just wanted to kind of lay in the sun and chill there, but Porridge was. Honestly, one of my all-time favorite places. I can imagine it gets really busy in summer. We were on the outskirts of summer towards the end of September, and it was such a beautiful time to go there.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Porridge was incredible.
It was incredible. But no, Porridge was amazing. I would actually love to try and take my family back there this year or even just go back again. I loved it there. I could have easily lived there as well.
When we were on the bus in the floods, when was that?
Ljubljana to Piran.
Okay, that was wild.
Yeah,
that was wild.
Yeah.
The flooding there was insane.
Yeah. But then to get out of Porridge, we risked it a little bit because we decided we didn't want to stay another night in Venice. So therefore we booked a later in the afternoon flight to be able to get from Porridge to Venice, which is supposed to be a 3-hour ferry. And we thought to ourselves, sweet, we'll get on the 7 a.m. ferry, get into Venice, kill a little bit of time there, and then fly over from Venice to Paris. That plan didn't go as well as expected. The ferry had to cancel because there was horrible weather out on the sea. So they replaced it with a bus that didn't really leave on time and was expected to be over 45 minutes longer in travel time. And what was a little bit annoying with the bus as well, though, is that the bus came all the way around and through the main parts of Venice and parked itself where the ferry was going to dock us into. And I remember we just got off. There was no taxi ranks. There was no Ubers. Like, you had to go somewhere to get a taxi. It was about a 20-minute walk to get to the taxi rank in Venice over what felt like 20,000 bridges with all of our luggage.
It was insane. We had all of our luggage on us because we hadn't... This is we hadn't even settled in Europe in our apartment yet. We were still traveling.
Yeah.
So we had two 23 kilo cases with us, plus our carry-on, plus our backpacks. And we had, let's say, 15, 20 minutes to get across Venice. And it on Google Maps, it says it's like 26 minutes, you know? It's like we had less time available to us to get there than... And so when we
And
started...
Venice had flooded from everything
Venice
too.
had flooded, so the canals were coming up and over, which when we tell people this, they're like, what? We've never seen that. Like, it was coming up and over onto the footpath. So it was essentially the whole town was underwater, felt like. We got no footage of this because we were hustling over this. We were dragging our bags. We trashed our bags through the water. And then we got a cab. The cab got us to the airport with, like, without exaggerating, a couple minutes to spare.
Yeah.
We got through security and then our flight was delayed and we just stood there for ages. It was the typical like hurry and wait. We rushed through, got through with just a couple minutes and then we had to stand there
like
and wait
40
for
minutes,
40 minutes for our flight to take off, which was nuts.
Yeah.
And then we're flying to Paris. We'll
Yeah, we got into Paris and we had Paul's first... Well, the match we wanted to watch, the quarterfinal, was that night.
So Paul Cole's one of my friends
Yeah.
who is a squash player, and he got us tickets to a tournament in Paris. And we arrived in Paris that morning. We were going to go see him play that night.
Yeah. And with that, we got into a taxi from the airport again. And as I was looking at Google Maps on the taxi route to our Airbnb, the distance just kept getting longer and longer and going red and saying 34 minutes, 37 minutes, 40 minutes. And we're like, what the hell? And this person drove straight into it on the highway. There was this huge accident that just was bumper to bumper traffic. And then to top that off, it got even worse because everyone had to verge out off the lane again because the US embassy had arrived. And this just convoy of like 20 black SUVs came through with the police because they obviously can't sit in traffic for their security reasons. But yeah, it was insane. We just sat in this car in the heat of the Parisian summer.
It was like a 40-minute drive turned into like 2 hours.
Yeah, it was so long.
And we're in an Uber as well.
Yeah.
And then
to get the Airbnb as well, like you had to go to a convenience store to collect the key.
can't remember what that's called, but that's the worst thing that you could
Homestay
possibly...
or something?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. I don't want to shit on it too much, but that was the worst. You had to go somewhere else to get keys for your Uber. It was for your Airbnb. It was terrible.
They have like these key locks.
Yeah. Anyway, there's like...
Yeah.
We get on
It's
to
still
more
beautiful.
positive stuff.
Yeah.
We went and watched that tournament. First time for Tash to watch that sort of level of squash in person. I got to see like literally one of the best games in history, which was Diego Elias and Ali Farag play in the semifinals, which was finals.
No, that was the
The
semi-finals.
semis, yeah. Got to watch Paul Cole play. He got all the way through to the semis as well. Lost to Mustafa Asal, who's Tash absolutely hates. And then, that was incredible. Got to see Paul and Naylor a couple times, which was really nice. And then we've been to Paris a couple times before, and we like sort of didn't want to do the typical
We've seen it
touristy stuff. So we ended up staying...
It was the Marais.
Marais.
Yeah, Marais. I can't remember what arrondissement it
11th or 10th?
Yeah, something like that.
10th or 11th.
But the suburb was Marais, and it was beautiful. It was such a beautiful suburb.
I wish someone told us about like that earlier.
Yeah.
I would, if I was ever to go to Paris, I would stay there, and then your day trips to say the Louvre or Arc de Triomphe or whatever, like just go from there,
Yeah.
and then get out of that area and stay in Marais.
But it had the coolest cafes, the coolest bakeries, the coolest restaurants. That strip of bars and restaurants of everyone sitting outside and people watching with their glass of champagne. It was the perfect.
It was
thing, yeah.
real typical
And
experience that you
vintage
want.
stores.
Yeah, lots of vintage clothing. The very typical experience that you want in Paris.
Yeah.
Paris.
And that pretty much called out.
Oh, we went to Versailles. That was about
We
did the touristy thing.
Yeah,
went
we
to
had
Versailles.
one more full day of doing something, and I suggested to Sean that we'd book a last minute ticket to Versailles, which is beautiful. It's another must see as well.
That was insane. So busy. God.
It was crazy busy. We had to
the worst-
hold on to each other because just like this, just to get through to other rooms.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was really, really
Where did we go
packed.
after Paris?
That was the first time that was pretty much the start of the end of our traveling.
Oh, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does. The start to the end of our traveling.
Okay.
It makes sense to me. It was the beginning of the end of traveling. There you go. Like we had our hotels and hopping around to different cities, and then after Paris, we were flying back to Poland to officially start sorting out our bags. And then obviously from that moment on, after finding out about Schengen, we had to come back here and start sorting out how we're going to stay here, because all in that time that we were traveling, we were also on our laptops, on ChatGPT, just asking for guidance and ideas on how we can get about potentially staying here longer now with the Schengen going up in the air.
So we have done a video on this, but just to give, I suppose, a brief outline, just so we remember in the future as well. Essentially, I had to apply for a temporary residence visa as Tash's husband. But to do that, Tash had to get her...
Finalize my citizenship.
Yeah, and to do that, you need a... it's like a social security number. What's it called here?
It wasn't even that. It was actually, I needed my decision letter.
Well,
that was the first
let's
thing.
not get into all that. What's the number called?
It's a PESEL.
If you've got your PESEL, you can do it. We didn't have a PESEL.
Yeah.
And Tash didn't have a passport yet. So then we had to get those done first. And that was the biggest priority. But we were missing one piece of paper, which we left in Australia.
Because I didn't think it was going to be that important.
So Tash's sister Nina posted this letter over for us. We got the letter, got Tash's stuff. That's a whole story in itself. Got Tash's passport, got Tash's PESEL number.
But thank you, Nina. That was still a lifesaver with how quickly you got that decision letter over.
So then once we got that, that's when I could apply for my temporary residence visa. And all of this time, my days towards my 90 days in Schengen were accumulating. So we ended up getting an immigration lawyer because things started to get a little bit hairy with how close the deadline was getting.
And also translation. You know, like I can speak Polish. I'm very good at Polish. I'm fluent in Polish, but I'm superficial conversation Polish. What is it? Like...
Well, it's just hard when you're talking about immigration. You don't
if you're
have
going
the
into,
vocabulary.
Politics and immigration and whatnot, when the words get a little bit more complicated, it's not really my forte.
So we ended up getting an immigration lawyer. What ended up happening was we had to apply for all of my stuff, and then we had to get the next available meeting, which ended up being about 2 weeks apart. Is that right?
No.
No?
To get your stamp, it was a month's wait.
A month, was it?
Yeah,
Was it
that's when
that
we had to go
long?
to Wales.
Right, okay. So when I put my application in, we had to wait a month to get the next available appointment. But I couldn't stay there for that month because I would have expired all of my 90 days in the Schengen area. So we had to stay here until the point that I put my application in with the immigration lawyer, and then get my date set for my application to be processed in person. But in that time, we had to flee Schengen.
Yeah, just get out to buy more time.
Yeah. So what we ended up doing is I called my family in Wales with 48 hours notice and
Because we were planning to go there in December.
and said, we're going to be there in 48 hours. Can you please house us? Like, we don't...
Now.
Yeah. And there was so much going on with my family in Wales. They were selling their houses. Unfortunately, there was some people were sick.
Just a
there was
lot
some
happening
things
in their lives.
passing away. There was
Yeah.
just everyone that we spoke to, they had a lot going on. And there's like us two, like 48 hours notice. Hey, can we, we're coming. So it ended up that my uncle booked us an Airbnb, which was a lifesaver. That was amazing. So we ended up staying with them, and then we stayed with my auntie, who housed us for a week as well. And we stayed in Cardiff with Claire for a week. So we ended up being looked after. It was an amazing trip.
It was a great 3 weeks.
That video actually did really well on YouTube. So, no. The video itself is awesome. It didn't do very well on YouTube.
We were so proud of that video. But it is very family orientated. It's not very touristy.
There's so much to see there, though. We did Cardiff, we did the
there's
Mines.
a lot to see, but it was like, it's a lot more personal as well. Yeah, so we went to Wales. We didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
But then we had to book our way back.
Yeah, we had to come back for my in-person meeting.
Yeah.
So then we flew back a couple days before the in-person meeting, got my approval, which was like the biggest relief ever. I got a stamp in my passport, which means I can stay here until my decision is made, which at the moment, because of the war and with Ukraine,
There's a massive backlog.
there's millions of people trying to cross the border, so there's a massive backlog. So I've got a stamp in my passport that says I can stay here until the decision's made, but that decision could be like a year or 2 years or whatever. So essentially I can stay as long as I like. Well, like until, and then when I get the decision, it's 3 years. So it's like plenty of time for us to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
So then we got the stamp, which was amazing. We ended up hanging around Poland for a bit, but then we weren't sure how quickly that was going to update, because like it takes 18 months, 2 years to get the decision. We weren't sure how quickly that was going to update in the system, like digitally. So then,
Because the stamp itself is just like this old school 80s, 90s red stamp with a signature.
it says nothing.
Yeah,
it says nothing.
Yeah.
And then we had trips booked to Prague, Amsterdam, and England, and we ended up flying. And I had no idea if when I landed in the Netherlands, in Prague, if they were going to let me in or not. And it was the scariest flight of my life, because if you overstay your Schengen, you obviously get deported. You can't stay longer than your visa allows. And if it hadn't been updated digitally that I had my visa application in, then I would have been way over 90 days and I would have
Because we knew that going into Prague and Amsterdam, you only had 7 days left within Schengen.
Yeah.
And that's what got a bit scary.
So ended
before
up
that.
landing
And got to England.
terrified. I'm just like, I'll skip over that part. I was like terrified about going back into Schengen. I was like, my palms are sweating. I was like, I just went super quiet. I didn't really speak to Tash or Josh. I was actually terrified of what could happen.
And what made it also scary was when we did fly back into Poland in November, into Bydgoszcz, the Polish border security hammered Sean a little bit too.
Yeah.
They were saying, like, they were looking at our Australian passports, kind of saying, you've only got 23 days left in Schengen. When are you planning on leaving? Like, that very, like, Eastern European, like, ah.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, no, we've got a plan. We've got a meeting, blah, blah, blah.
So then we walked through Prague. Tash went first. No, I think I went first because then I needed
Just
you.
in case, yeah.
Because we were thinking, all right, we're in a non-English speaking country. All of my application's in Polish. I don't speak Polish.
It's this classic
It's
stamp
like,
in
it was
a
this
passport.
weird stamp in the passport. Got up there, I was shaking, and the guy sort of looked at me, took my passport, opened my passport, closed my passport, gave it to me, and just went, yep. Didn't even like make eye contact with me, like just didn't even look.
Fastest control.
Walked through, breathed the biggest sigh of relief. I was like, oh, thank God. Got through about 2 sleepless nights for absolutely no reason. They didn't even check.
Just laughing.
Yeah.
This guy's just like, why are you laughing?
That was so stressful, but ended up being nothing. It was like a storm in a teacup. Still don't know how they know that I had those days. It must be digitally recorded.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was super stressful. So we breezed over a little bit there, but just to get that story across. But in that time, we were in England, Prague, and Amsterdam with Josh. We had one of my best friend's weddings, which was amazing. I was the celebrant, so I got to marry him and his wife now, which was super fun experience. Really cool wedding. Josh, another best mate of mine, he stayed with us for a couple of weeks, which was awesome. We did Prague and Amsterdam. We got videos on both of those. Prague, one, like, very, very, very cool. Really, really liked Prague. Amsterdam, glad I went. Probably had more fun seeing friends and stuff than, like, actual Amsterdam stuff. Amsterdam was really, really cool but I don't think I'd go back.
I think the Netherlands in general is a really, really forward-thinking country, and you can see that in the way that people handle themselves. Like, we were lucky enough to have stayed with really old family friends of mine that I haven't seen in, I think we ended up coming to the conclusion it was like over 15 years or something. And they had moved to Amsterdam for 3 years, and they were kind enough to house us. And where they were living was about 30 minutes south out of Amsterdam, and just a really nice suburban town. And to have seen a proper suburban town was cool.
Yeah.
Because it was really tranquil, so safe. It was what really threw us is how just there's no blinds to the houses. The windows are just there on the path, and you can just look into everyone's houses. That was
pretty cool. We
shocking
learn
in a
about
way.
that. So they don't have blinds, or because the culture was there because it was near a what's it called? Not like a shipping yard where they come on and off the boats. NDSM, the wharf. What's it called? Like a port.
Oh,
because
I'm
it was
talking about Amstelveen, like where Houston.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about too. So, yeah. So in Amsterdam, the reason why they don't have blinds or curtains or anything like that is because it's a port, and back in the day, the people used to want to check on each other's neighbour's house. So they used to leave all the blinds open to make sure that things weren't going wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's a port, and that sort of tradition has just stayed. That's why they don't have curtains or
got it.
anything.
Okay.
So it used to be a massive port, and so it was full of people that used to travel out at sea. So then they used to leave all their curtains off, so then their neighbours could check in through the window on their house to make sure everything was like above
okay.
board.
Yeah.
And that tradition has stayed now, and they
Yeah.
don't use curtains or anything. Yeah. Did you not know that?
Well, I knew that on the water, but where Amstelveen was, there's no canals or water.
But that's like
anything
all
that.
of it's like
just
that.
a
Everywhere
traditional
you go is
thing.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit confronting to me personally at times.
Oh, it's
to
super
walk. Yeah,
weird.
you're just kind of walking, and you just make eye contact with someone in their own private home. And you're like, sorry, I didn't mean to look in. And obviously, I think I said it heaps of times, the bin system. I'm in love with the bin system there. We had it in Porridge too, though.
Yeah.
When we got to Porridge into our Airbnb, we got this little chip card where you go down to the bins, you press it, the bin's open, you chuck it in, it's all underground, which I think for Australia would be epic, given how hot Australia gets.
It's such a cool system. I don't know how to explain it better than that.
But they just have like every 200 meters, there's just like this big metal bins with all the dividers, like your recycling, your glass, your regular. And you have your house has a chip card, you open it, it opens up, and you throw all your rubbish in. And once a week, this truck will come along, undo it, lift it, and then take the whole bag out. And the bag is huge.
Yeah.
Put it on the truck, refill, empty it, and then put the bin back in, and then close it up so it's emptied. So they're just emptying one big communal thing rather than everyone's individual bins. It was amazing.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's obviously in a lot of places over here.
Yeah. And they're just really, really cool people, I feel like.
Super nice people.
Yeah.
I would prefer to live there than I would go there on holidays.
Yeah.
It's somewhere you could live. I could live.
Yeah, I
but
wouldn't live there.
I wouldn't go there on another holiday trip. Like I could spend 3 months there, but as for like a holiday destination, I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't do it again.
The 4 days we had, the weather killed me. It was the worst weather we'd had in 5 months.
We've been very lucky
We've
with
been
the weather.
so lucky with the weather. Even the winter here in Poland has just been amazing. I know the Polish people, they always look back and miss their real hard winters, but this has been a really kind winter. But yeah, after that trip, and we went from Prague, Amsterdam. We risked our flight back to for Christmas, back to Poland a little bit, because the cheapest flight for that time of year we could find was at 9:30 at night from Amsterdam back to Warsaw. And that kind of got us in around like midnight. We were so tired. By the time we even got back to our apartment and switched over our luggage real quick, we were in bed by about 1:30 and had to be up by 6 a.m. to get an early train over to my family for the next day for Christmas Eve. But we got there, no hassles, no changes. It was just perfect conditions. And then finally got to spend Christmas with my family for the first time here in Poland, which was amazing. It was a really, really nice gift.
It was
to
really
get,
nice. It was really, really nice. It was a fun day.
Especially spending it with my Jadek.
Yeah.
He's turning 97 in 2 months' time. So, you know, it was just really special to be able to be there.
Yeah, that was amazing. After Christmas?
So, yeah, after Christmas on the 28th of December, we officially came back to Warszawa. Well, we've been in and out of Warszawa for like 2-3 weeks at a time, just sorting out documents and then going over. But just after Christmas was the first time that we came back to Warsaw and proper plonked ourselves down in my auntie's apartment here in Warsaw, who's been kind enough to offer us this chance and opportunity. And then we've at least had the last 5 weeks to finally settle, get a routine, cook our own meals, go sign up to a gym,
Yes.
have a bit of a plan in place.
So in the last 5 weeks, we were pretty done with traveling. Like we've done 10 countries, 20 plus cities in 6 months. It's been pretty full on. And we're just sort of, obviously we're super grateful, but just the flights, the buses, the trains, we're not flying first class. No. It's, it all got a bit much. So to then come and have a apartment for 5 weeks where we could just
decompress
and just get a bit of routine, as nice as it sounds, and I don't want to sound ungrateful, but traveling is very difficult when you do it for a long period of time. Like now we're 6 months in. If you're just constantly on the move, it really takes its toll.
It's taxing.
Sometimes you just need 4 or 5 weeks of downtime. And in those 4 or 5 weeks, we've had so much done. So Tash got her agent over here.
Yeah.
So Tash is now represented throughout the UK, Europe, and the US.
Yes.
Yeah. With her new agent, which maybe you tell them about your new agent.
Yeah. So it's international representation because they have offices through the major continents. But it was a dream agent for me. I kind of had my heart and eyes set on them from the beginning, thanks to Jade. She was always kind of recommending that you'd be a great fit for this company. I was like, okay. And also another acting friend, Fab, who I had coffee with. We had coffee with when we went to England, and he recommended I reach out to them. So I reached out to them and got on a call, and it was fantastic. And they offered me representation with DBA. So it's been unreal. It's been a great process to go through. They've been so caring, so lovely, and they're so well connected, being such a unique agency. They kind of are part of that tunnel or that connection between Europe and the States. So it's a really, really good gift to get for here.
Yes.
I've gotten a few auditions already for the first month of the year, which has been amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, in that 5 weeks, you had a bunch of auditions and you got an agent, which is something that we've wanted since we got here. So it's sort of 6 months on.
Yeah.
And it was the first real opportunity to get it, and you got one straight away, which is amazing. I've been able to do a bunch of work, sort of launch a course with through Sonderval. So that was amazing, just to be able to have the time to sit, write, create content, film, get it out. So that's been really good. We joined a gym. We've had 5 weeks of really good training and eating. But we found now that we're in our 5th week here, we're like itchy feet. It's we're ready to go. So it's Friday now when we're recording this. We're flying out tomorrow, Saturday, the 1st of Feb. Yeah, Saturday, the 1st of Feb. We're flying out to Japan to our ski lodge in Miyako, which we went there last year. We've been there every year other than COVID pretty much. But we're super excited to go there because it's the first time that we're going to go there and we're actually going to be filming, and we're going to create YouTube vlogs on there. We're going to talk about what it's like to buy a hotel in Japan for Australians. Like, we've got heaps planned to film and edit. Yeah. So definitely subscribe if you want to see that stuff, because that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then while we're over there, we're planning on spending a week in South Korea and a week in the Philippines. We haven't booked any of that. We're going to see how that unfolds.
Yeah.
But we've got the next sort of month and a half over that side of the world, and we're going to see so many of our friends and family from back home who are flying from Australia. It's about an 8 or 9 hour flight from Sydney to Japan.
Yeah.
It's like 15 hours from where we are, but it's a long flight for us from Europe. But yeah, we're going to see a whole bunch of people, friends and family, which we're super pumped on. We're going to get heaps of videos done in Japan, what it's like to own a ski lodge. You get to actually see our lodge. We haven't really put it out there at all yet.
Yeah.
And then hopefully do a video on South Korea, hopefully do a video on the Philippines as well. So we've got all of that to come up.
Yeah. But now that we've kind of officially set foot for the last 5 weeks in Poland, we've really kind of started to understand what it's like to live somewhere else, and what it's like to have left Australia. Neither of us have ever left for this long, with the plan to move over and not really have a return date yet. We do have like a 2+ year plan in our minds, but we don't even know where that could change because our life has tended to kind of pivot so quickly while we're here. But having lived in another country, there's definitely so much that has, there's definitely positives and there's definitely negatives to the whole experience. There always will be. It's not necessarily negatives, actually. It's more challenges. Even I was talking to my sister about this before. Being Polish, growing up in the Polish community in Australia, I'm born Australian as well. So my parents have, given us the gift of flying us back here to Poland every 2-3 years of our lives, our whole lives. And so I know Poland. I've watched Poland grow as a country over the time. And especially in like the last 10 odd years, this country has just excelled in its growth. And it's so different to the Poland I always kind of used to know, or I used to kind of think of Poland as. And I was telling her about all the kind of culture shocks I even got coming here and living here, because all the times that I'd come here were 3-4 weeks at a time for a holiday to spend time with my family. But actually living here, it has been very, very different experience for that. Yeah. It's definitely become a lot more global, and there's parts of it going through what I've gone through, especially with having a bit of a medical health issue and having to deal with that here, and having a actual surgery here, dealing with the doctors and the medical world of it slightly. I feel like there's parts of it that are so much more advanced than Australia. So many, when you're in Europe in general, you're so well connected. The transport here is amazing. The buses, the metros, everything is just so well connected. Every 5 to 10 minutes, you sometimes don't even have to look at the schedule. You just head down and sit at the bus stop and your bus is going to arrive any moment. So there's no stress on that. But there have definitely been things, especially more culturally, socially, with people. Being an Australian, we're super chirpy. We want to smile at people. We want to say hi, good morning, get a smile back in return. But no, it's not really a thing here.
Our goal when we left wasn't to. I think we could have seen twice as many countries in 6 months, but we wanted to get a feel of what it was like to sort of, if you were to live in different areas.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've got a very good understanding now of what it's like to live in Poland.
Yeah.
Like we've been in Warszawa or Warsaw the most out of anywhere in Poland. So I feel like we've got a really good idea of what it's like to live in this city.
Yeah, in the city life.
And we really like it.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, we really, really like it.
It is very individual. Everyone just keeps to themselves. We have seen certain people in this block a lot more times, and you earn the respect over time. The more and more you see them,
bloody hard.
Yeah, the more and more you see them, then you kind of get a smile or a quick chat. Other than that, you don't.
Chat.
I get chats.
To have a chat with someone.
But yeah, they're quite reserved. It's not like, superficial kind of happiness thing. But when you earn it, you earn it. I feel like it's a Polish culture. You need to earn my respect in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see the culture here as well, and it sort of explains a lot.
They are very helpful though.
If you need help, I don't think anyone. So for me, being here and not have seen Poland, I've been here before, but you've seen it in a very different light over your life. But for me to see it here, people, it's super safe. Not once have I ever felt unsafe anywhere in Poland. And you can walk out by yourself. I would never think twice about you. It's super, super safe.
Yeah.
People are really helpful if you're in need of help. Are they the friendliest bunch of people in the world?
Probably not.
No. But yeah, it's super. Warsaw is amazing to live in.
Yeah.
One thing that we've noticed now for 6 months is I don't feel like there's any borders in this world anymore. It is essentially one world for traveling. And what I mean by that is our banking, we use Wise, the app, and we can open up a bank account in any country that we've been to instantly. You have like a BSB and account number or the equivalent to, you've got a card, tap and go, you get really good rates. We don't have to worry about money exchange, conversions, anything like that.
Yeah.
On your SIM cards, every country that you go to, you can buy an eSIM. We use Airlo, and you can just download a SIM card straight onto your phone. You instantly got data, you instantly got calls, messages. It's like everything is so connected.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't imagine what it was like traveling 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could have been better back then. It's so easy now to travel.
Yeah.
It almost just makes it feel like it's one connected world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't ever feel like I'm disconnected from different
No.
areas. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, everything's super, super easy.
Yeah. The difference back in the day used to be like you'd be paying a mozza for roaming, for global roaming. So if you turned it on, you know you're going to be charged for it. So you couldn't really use Google Maps. You might get lost here and there, which was the fun in traveling back, 10, 15 years ago. But now you can kind of get around. It's pretty easy. That's what I was going to say before, was exactly that, how global this place is. And what I mean by that is obviously with Poland joining the EU and joining this whole part of the whole EU family here in Europe.
Talking about Schengen?
Yeah, I'm talking about Schengen, like not even just Schengen, but being part of the EU,
Okay.
how much that has lifted Poland as well. But how global it is, meaning that when we packed our bags to come over here, in the past, I've always been used to like, you pack your Vegemite, your Tim Tams, whatever you want from Australia, you put it in the bag, you're taking it over because you're not going to find it here. So I packed all of my must-haves from Australia to have here. And as it was running out, you just go onto Google and it's crazy. Like Allegro or Amazon, everything has just been so globally connected that I go on there now and I can find my powdered chocolate peanut butter or the Tim Tams or the Vegemite, like anything Australian, it's here already through a distributor, through Amazon somehow. And you can get it in 2 days. It's so, you can get everything here now.
Yeah, I don't know if I love it as much. It's like, obviously,
Why?
it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Everything's really comfortable and you can get everything that you know. But like the idea of going everywhere and like is that you have to adapt to the new culture,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
new
we
way of
definitely
life,
have,
you
yeah.
know, like it's like,
I've
but
already
yeah.
adapted to here. I'm taking all the Polish products to Japan.
yeah,
And it's going to take me about 2 weeks to adapt to the Japanese products.
yeah.
I'm a slow adapter.
I think that might be about it for this.
Yeah. Do we miss home?
No. I don't miss home because like it's always there and it's like, it just feels that I live in the best place in the world. I feel like having the Australian passport, having the ability to move back to Australia and to live in Sydney on the Northern Beaches is the biggest blessing in the world, and it's always there. Mm-hmm. You know, like that is our home, and that's where we'll end up, and we're going back at some point. So like for me at the moment, I'm 6 months in. I'm like, I don't miss anything because I just want to see as
There's
much of
still
this
so much
world
to see.
as possible.
Yeah.
I have yet to be anywhere that I would prefer to live
Yeah.
for the rest of my life than Mona Vale specifically. But
And I'm in like the acting capital of the world to me. Theatre started around here, Russia, Germany, amazing theatrical schools through the UK and, even just Paris or Copenhagen. Like there's so much acting quality, great acting quality here that I just can't wait to dive into this year as well.
yeah, I think if someone said you could never go back to Australia, I would, I would be forever sad.
Yeah.
I don't like just knowing that I can go back makes me not miss it
Yeah.
because we can go back whenever we
Yeah,
want.
the comfort's there.
Yeah, which we're super blessed to have that. But anyway, some big plans for this year. Like I just said, we've got Japan, we've got South Korea, we've got the Philippines, we go to Berlin, we've got Serbia, Montenegro, Albania, Greece. We've
Nice
got
little trip out somewhere with my family, maybe Spain.
yeah, we're talking Spain, Malta, or Tunisia was on the list, and then We've
We want to
got
head back to the UK in the sense
we
of
got
Scotland.
Yeah, we're going back to
Ireland,
Wales again.
Wales.
We've got Scotland, Ireland. What else have
Yeah,
we
I think
got?
that's it on the plan.
And
so
that
far.
takes us up to September.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got all of that coming up until September, and then September onwards, we don't actually know what we've got. We don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, subscribe for any more videos for all of those places that we just mentioned. We're going to be doing videos. We appreciate everyone watching. We have no idea where this channel is going. This was purely just for us to remember. It's a way for us to get in front of the camera and practice our skills,
Yep.
get the mics out.
And if you have watched our videos as well, put a little comment below on anything that you might want to see or you might want us to cover. If you feel like we've traveled a little bit but we haven't covered something that you would find of interest, let us know. If you want to know what we think of like our Airbnbs, hotels, travel, whatnot.
Yeah. And like 95% of people that watch our videos don't subscribe, which sucks because we want our subscriptions to be up higher.
Please.
So hit our subscribe button, please, especially if you've lasted this long in this video.
You must really love us.
You must really love us. And please, we're working hard for our subscribers.
Thanks, Mama.
All right. Thank you. That's our 6-month update. I think we'll do an update every 6 months like this, but everything that we've mentioned, we've documented in our videos as well. All right. See you guys.
Bye.